The phone buzzed before sunrise, sharp and urgent, cutting through the quiet of the house like a warning siren. Emily Carter reached for it without opening her eyes, thinking it was just another early alert she forgot to silence. But the vibration didn't stop. One buzz turned into two, then three, each one heavier than the last. Bank alert. Unusual activity detected. Bank alert. Withdrawal completed. Bank alert. Balance low. Emily sat up so fast the blanket slid to the floor. Her heart began to race as she stared at the screen. The numbers didn't make sense. Large amounts. Transactions she didn't recognize. Her fingers trembled as she refreshed the app, hoping it was a glitch. It wasn't. Their savings years of careful planning were. Draining in real time, she turned to her left. The bed was empty. Jason's side was cold. That's when fear settled in, slow and heavy. Emily slipped out of bed and walked into the kitchen, still holding her phone like it might explode. Morning light came through the window, pale and quiet, touching everything she thought she knew. On the kitchen counter, beside the coffee maker Jason used every day, was a folded piece of paper. Her name was written on it. Emily. She already knew it wasn't good. She picked it up, unfolded it carefully, and read the words that would replay in her mind for weeks. Goodbye. I never loved you anyway. Don't try to find me. The room felt suddenly smaller, like the walls were moving closer. Emily read the note again, slower this time, hoping the meaning would change. It didn't. Her chest tightened, and she had to sit down before her knees gave out. 7 years of marriage ended in 3 short lines. Jason hadn't yelled. He hadn't argued. He hadn't even explained. He had simply erased himself, leaving behind words colder than silence. Emily thought of the night before. They had eaten dinner together. Jason had asked about her day. He had kissed her cheek and said he was tired. Nothing felt like an ending. Nothing felt like a goodbye. Her phone buzzed again. Another alert. More money gone. This wasn't just leaving. This was something else. Emily stood up, pacing the kitchen, trying to breathe. Her thoughts ran fast, crashing into each other. Had he planned this? For how long? How could she have missed it? She replayed the last few months in her mind. Jason coming home late. Jason locking his phone. Jason suddenly interested in account details he used to ignore. She remembered asking him once if something was wrong. He had smiled and said work was stressful. Nothing more? She believed him. Trust had always been easy for Emily. She loved deeply and assumed. Others did the same. She called the bank first, her voice shaking as she explained what was happening. The representative was calm, professional, asking questions Emily barely understood. Fraud report, account freeze, investigation. The words felt distant, unreal. After that, she called the police. Saying it out loud made it worse. My husband left. He took our money. The sentence didn't sound like her life. When the calls ended, the house fell quiet again, too quiet. Emily walked from room to room, noticing small things she had never paid attention to before. Jason's closet half empty. His laptop gone. His favorite jacket missing. This wasn't sudden. This was planned. She sank onto the couch, staring at the blank television screen. Anger tried to rise, but heartbreak was heavier. The note echoed in her head. I never loved you anyway. It felt cruel, unnecessary, designed to hurt. Emily wondered if he truly meant it, or if it was easier for him to pretend he never cared at all. Tears came without warning. She didn't sob or scream. They just slid down her face as she sat there, holding the note in her hands like it was proof that everything she believed in had been a lie. By afternoon, the shock gave way to exhaustion. Emily wrapped herself in a blanket, staring at the front door. Part of her expected Jason to walk back in, to say it was a mistake, that he was overwhelmed, that he would fix everything. But the door stayed closed. As evening approached, there was a knock. Emily froze. Her heart jumped again. Hope and fear tangled together. She wasn't ready to see anyone, but something told her this knock mattered. She stood slowly and walked to the door. When she opened it, Jason wasn't there. Instead, she saw Daniel Brooks. He looked just as surprised to see her, his expression tight with concern. Daniel was someone Emily knew, only vaguely Jason's old college friend. They had met at a few gatherings over the years. He had always been polite, quiet, easy to overlook. "Emily," Daniel said softly, "I'm sorry to come by like this." She didn't respond right away. Her eyes searched his face, looking for answers she hadn't asked yet. "Jason's gone," she said finally. Daniel nodded, swallowing hard. "I know." That single word hurt more than she expected. "You knew." Her voice wasn't angry. It was broken. "I didn't know everything," Daniel said quickly, "but I knew he was planning to leave." Emily stepped back, letting him in. Her legs felt weak again as she closed the door behind him. They sat at opposite ends of the kitchen table. The same table where she and Jason had shared meals, laughter, quiet mornings. Now it felt like unfamiliar ground. Daniel stared at his hands. "I didn't come to defend him. I came because you deserve the truth." Emily waited. "Jason's been in trouble for a while," Daniel continued. "Financial trouble? Personal trouble. He borrowed money. He made choices he couldn't undo." Emily's chest tightened. "And the note." Daniel hesitated. "That wasn't the whole truth." Her grip tightened on the edge of the table. "Then what is?" Daniel looked up, meeting her eyes. "He didn't leave because he never loved you. He left because he couldn't face what he didn't, because staying meant taking responsibility." The words settled slowly. "He used the accounts to cover his mess," Daniel said. "I didn't know he would drain everything. If I had, I would have stopped him." Emily felt numb again. But beneath it, something shifted. The pain was still there, but now it had shape. This wasn't about her being unlovable. This was about Jason running from himself. Daniel stood to leave, uncomfortable with the weight of the moment. "I'm sorry," he said again. "If you need anything information, help call me." She nodded, unable to speak. When he left, Emily stood alone in the kitchen, staring at the door long after it closed. Jason's note still sat on the counter. But now, for the first time that day, Emily realized something important. The note was not the full story, and whatever Jason had taken money, trust, certainty, he had also left something behind. The truth was beginning to surface, and Emily's life, shattered as it felt, was not over. It was changing. The next morning, Emily woke to sunlight spilling across the empty living room. But the emptiness felt heavier than before. The house had grown silent overnight, yet her mind buzzed louder than ever. The knock from yesterday lingered in her thoughts, Daniel's eyes carrying a weight she couldn't shake. She knew what she had to do, find out the truth. Jason's note had shattered her world, but Daniel had hinted there was more, something she had to hear. Something that could explain the betrayal, the money gone, the sudden void in her life. By mid-morning, Daniel was back. He didn't bring himself casually. He came with a seriousness that made Emily's heart skip. She didn't invite him in with words, just a nod, and he understood. They sat across the table, and Daniel's fingers fidgeted. A small sign that he was carrying more than he had said before. "I need to tell you everything," he began. "It's complicated, but you deserve to know." Emily leaned in, her stomach tight. She had been numb for a week, caught between anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. She wanted answers, any kind of explanation, even if it hurt. Daniel took a deep breath. Jason, he wasn't himself lately. He had debts, things he tried to hide. He thought he could fix everything without you knowing. But he couldn't. He made choices he shouldn't have. And instead of facing them, he ran. Emily felt a strange mix of relief and bitterness. Relief that she wasn't unloved. Bitterness that Jason's love had come with lies. All those withdrawals. The money? Her voice broke. He just took everything. "He didn't plan to hurt you," Daniel said softly. He panicked. He thought he could manage the situation, cover it up. But it got worse. And the note. He left it thinking it would protect you from knowing the mess he made. But it was cruel, I know. Emily's mind raced. She remembered all the little things she had noticed, late nights, secret calls, hushed conversations. Now it made sense. It had been there all along, hidden in plain sight. But even knowing this didn't make the betrayal sting any less. She had trusted him completely, and he had shattered that trust without even a goodbye. For hours. Daniel explained every detail. He knew the hidden accounts, the loans, the small lies that had grown into a full-blown secret life. Emily took it all in, her mind trying to piece together the life she thought she had with the truth she was learning now. She felt like a puzzle missing pieces, suddenly seeing the image clearly, but it was darker than she ever imagined. By the end of the conversation, Emily felt exhausted, but a small part of her felt lighter. The storm in her head had calmed enough to think. She realized Jason's absence, as painful as it was, had cleared the path for her to rebuild. She wasn't trapped in confusion anymore. The clarity, painful as it was, gave her something she hadn't had before: control. Over the next few weeks, Emily began taking action. She worked with the bank, filing reports and securing what remained of her accounts. Every phone call, every email felt like reclaiming a piece of herself. The money loss couldn't be replaced immediately, but the power to fight, to protect her future, something no one could take. Daniel checked in often, without intrusion. Sometimes he came with documents that helped with the bank. Sometimes with groceries when she was too drained to cook. Sometimes just to sit in silence. He didn't rush, didn't offer false hope. He was simply there, steady and reliable, the kind of presence Emily hadn't realized she had been missing. And slowly, she noticed the small things. His humor, gentle and unforced, made her laugh when she hadn't in days. His attentiveness, quiet and thoughtful, reminded her of what real care felt like. Not the secrets or the lies, but honesty, presence, and consistency. One evening, weeks after Jason disappeared, Emily found herself walking through the park near her house. The sky was painted with the soft colors of sunset, and the crisp air felt refreshing. Daniel walked beside her, speaking casually about nothing and everything. Emily realized how natural it felt, this comfort she hadn't had in years. She wasn't thinking about Jason. She wasn't wondering if her heart would heal. She simply existed in the moment, and it was enough. When they returned, Daniel paused on her porch, his hands in his pockets, smiling in that easy, familiar way. "You look different," he said. Emily smiled back, realizing she did feel different, stronger, wiser, free from the chains of the past. "I feel different," she admitted. And it was true. The grief, the shock, the betrayal, it was all still there, a part of her. But it no longer defined her. Over the following months, Emily continued to rebuild. She organized her finances, focused on her career, and allowed herself to feel again. She laughed, she cried, she remembered, and she hoped. And through it all, Daniel remained a quiet anchor. Never pushing, never expecting, simply supporting. Emily never forgot the note Jason had left behind. It haunted her, sometimes in quiet moments, sometimes when she caught herself thinking of the life she could have had. But instead of fear or heartbreak, the note became a reminder of her resilience. She had survived betrayal, loss, and deception. She had rebuilt herself from the rubble Jason left behind. And in Daniel, she found something unexpected: trust, affection, and a new kind of love that didn't need drama or secrets. It wasn't a love that burned fast and disappeared. It was steady, gentle, and real. The kind that grows quietly, without fanfare, but stronger with every passing day. One night, as Emily prepared dinner in her bright, reorganized kitchen, she paused to look around. The house no longer felt hollow. It felt lived in, safe, and welcoming. The memories of Jason were there, but they didn't dominate her life anymore. She realized she had survived, and more than that, she had learned something profound. Sometimes the people who leave you in pain reveal the life you were truly meant to live. Jason's betrayal had been devastating, but it also opened a door Emily never imagined. She stepped through it fully, with her heart cautious but open, ready for a future shaped by honesty, trust. and the gentle presence of someone who truly cared that night. She closed her front door behind Daniel, feeling a sense of calm she hadn't known in months. Jason hadn't broken her. He had forced her to see clearly, to rebuild, and ultimately to grow into a stronger, wiser version of herself. And as she turned off the lights, Emily realized something else. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was beginning to live. The note, the money, the heartbreak, all of it had led her to this moment. And for the first time, she felt certain of one thing. She could face the future without fear. Okay? And maybe, just maybe, she could let herself love again. It wasn't a fast love or dramatic or overwhelming. It was a patient, gentle kind of love that promised stability, honesty, and care, the exact things she had always wanted. And now, finally, had found Emily's heart. Once heavy with betrayal, now carried hope. The storm had passed, leaving the sky clearer than ever, and she stepped forward into it, ready for whatever came next.